Here we are again, and welcome to our group mentoring call for Conscious Momentum with our wonderful founder and president, Dr. Paul. I'm Dr. Shelley, and we are joined by Elizabeth, our faculty mentor, who will respond to your questions in the chat room. And you know, just yesterday I was commenting on how we love to keep it humble, but there's a lot of freedom that comes with humility. But we need to keep it relevant as well. And to me, that means keeping it real. Dr. Paul works unceasingly from some extraordinary place of passion to bring the most recent cutting-edge research and information, technologies, modalities to all of us here at Quantum University. You know, he really is the demonstration of resonance with conscious momentum and wants nothing more than to help you likewise create that coherent state of conscious momentum by being authentically aligned with your own fulfillment factor. So thank you so much, Dr. Paul, for joining us again. We had so many questions mailed in last week that I'm just going to invite you to come in, say hello to everybody, and catch us all up on the pulse currently arising within our students.
Welcome, everybody. It's another start. This is another very interesting episode this week. You know, we're coming every 2 weeks. And I'm trying to, before we start, just to refresh what we spoke the last conversation. So it's important to engage yourself in the curriculum. And one of my recipes, I will not repeat the whole thing, but it's all the time doing something every day, 20, 30 minutes, an hour. So at the end of the week, you have done maybe 5-7 hours, and don't procrastinate. So, and there is a way to, you know, we already have set up the iPad. You can print the document, you can listen, and then already prepare your answer for the test. So, and then this week, I will ask you a task. In other words, we receive a lot of questions, but I like also to hear about your insight. You know, there is, you have people, a student has many insight when they watch some classes, like Dr. Goswami with the Quantum Doctor, or the Dr. Joe Dispenza with the brain rewiring, and others, and myself too, you know, when I explain some of the course. So, you know, during the week, I'm very sure if you do something, you listen video, you're doing your study, some insight come, and then put it on the site, send this to us, and we will also share this with the whole community. And that will be also the way for me to see if, you know, this conscious momentum are efficient, because it's not just like a passive type of interaction that I want with you. I want absolutely you get engaged in your curriculum. There is so many students that sign up. They need to be inspired. They need to be coached. And we're adding also new mentor to our teams. We will present to you this as it comes. And then, you know, from 2 weeks to 2 weeks, try to come from some insights. So that's the way you will communicate to us if you follow the programs. One of the requests that came from many students is, what are doing our students when they are graduate, when they have a doctor in natural medicine or have a doctor in integrative medicine, but especially the doctor in natural medicine is very in demand. We have a lot of students going to this curriculum. And this week we have prepared a testimonial from Dr. Evelina Sott, and who is also an author. She wrote a book on inflammation coming from her PhD. She has a very exciting practice. So this is how we will start this program this week. I will also answer your question, and at the end we have there is a special a premiere, because we creating, as you know, all the time new courses. And one of the courses that has worked on the last 3 months is what I call the holistic human anatomy. This, for me, something, a project that is so important, because when we rewrite the curriculum of medicine, it's very important to address what we call the biofield, the subtle energy. And 100 years ago, the pioneer of medicine were the first to start to make some sketch and, design of how the body works. And some, as you know, were even going in the cemetery, dig in the ground and, study cadaver. And that has been one moment very important in medicine, because it's like, to understand, to be able to address healing or address disease, you have to understand the mechanic. And this pioneer in medicine understood that if you don't have a map of how the body works, where are the parts, and as of course has evolved medicine, we have deepening our understanding on the materialistic aspect, which is anatomy. But what about what I call the biofield or subtle energetic? That is already represented by Ayurvedic medicine or Taoist medicine or the Chinese medicine and so on. This is totally absent when a doctor of natural medicine or a medical doctor or an IMD start to study a more holistic medicine. So for me, this piece is, and we were waiting and waiting. Why? Because we didn't have totally all the science to build this new anatomy. And now, to this last decade, this last 20, 30 years, research has added way more information to quantum physics, to biophotonic science, to the biofield. And now we have this kind of ground that we can establish the understanding of this holistic anatomy. So we will show you at the end of this presentation a 2-minute video that is part of this bigger or program, Holistic Anatomy. And this is a premiere. This will be also sent. You will be invited to review it this weekend. You will receive an email. This will be posted on the Facebook, and you will see how exciting we're going now to improving our class and curriculum and our studies. So, but let's start and share this testimonial that has prepared Dr. Shelley Evans, and thank you very much to have the initiative to do this event and have done also this interview. So I will just share the screen here.
Sure. And while you're sharing the screen, I'll just do a little introduction about who Dr. So is. Like so many of us, she took the path of the wounded warrior. Just as the ancients felt that shamans must walk the path before they lead others to balance, she also spent 20 years in the corporate world fighting stress demons before she decided to study nutrition herself. And that was back in 2011. So it was a long, arduous journey of discipline, trial and error for her. But she succeeded with the help of Quantum University and is today following her heart's purpose. Now, there's a whole lot I could tell you about her, but I'm going to let Dr. Paul just begin with her video, although I see you got the Tao video up.
Here.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, you got to rewind it. There we go. And if I could just make one quick reminder, please make sure you're all muted. I see some people joining us on the phone, and I know it's challenging, but please mute. Thank you. Welcome to our group mentoring call for Conscious Momentum 2019. Today we are joined by Quantum University graduate from our PhD program, Evelina Sott. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Evelina. Can you jump right in and tell us what prompted you to enroll in the Quantum University program?
Dr. Shelley, thank you so much for having me in. I look forward to sharing my heart and just telling you everything that I can do in terms of mentoring and helping people join the program. what brought me to Quantum University was my lifelong interest in medicine, having grown up with grandparents who were holistic practitioners. I was also already a nutritionist working in an acupuncture office with several acupuncturists, a physical therapist, and a chiropractor. So my interest in natural medicine was already there, and I was working with patients in a nutritional counselor type of capacity. So I wanted to broaden my scope of knowledge, and since I already also had some naturopathic background and homeopathy as well, I added quantum to my list of credentials, and I'm very, very happy that I did, because the program is outstanding.
That's fantastic. Do you mind sharing what you wrote for your thesis? What was the thesis topic for your dissertation?
My dissertation was on stress, inflammation, and quantum possibilities. Actually, that is the title of the book that I published using my thesis, or the research portion of my thesis, because it involved a lot of case studies and things of that nature that I did not publish on Amazon. But my area, my scope of expertise is around inflammation as the root cause of many chronic conditions. So that was the main topic that I did my research on. That anyone who comes into our program think very diligently as to where they want to go in terms of their practice, and then take it from there so that their thesis can help their future profession.
So your program not only enabled you to become a successful practitioner, but also a published author as well. That's really fantastic. I understand in your practice that you wanted to bring awareness to root causes rather than symptoms. So can you tell us a little bit about how your doctorate in natural medicine enabled you to successfully develop protocols, significant protocols, to actualize these goals?
Thank you for asking. That is at the heart of every natural medicine practitioner. When we actually sit down and speak with our clients, we want to make sure that we are addressing what is actually causing the symptoms. Today's medicine, unfortunately, is interested in masking symptoms and dealing with the discomfort, which has its place as well. So I do work in a very conventional environment, and we do have a nurse practitioner on staff as well. The root cause of the disease is the number one priority. So it's from that perspective, what I had to do is a lot of additional research, and naturally backed with real scientific expertise and studies. And I also incorporated my naturopathy and homeopathy into it, in order to be able to give a comprehensive, all-encompassing view on conditions. Also, inflammation as a root cause of many chronic conditions is easily addressed with dietary changes, and finding deficiencies, sensitivities, and things of that nature, as well as hormonal imbalances. It's been extremely successful, and I couldn't be happier, to report that it's in a crux of what we do.
Well, I have so many more questions that I would love to ask you. I'm going to invite you back probably often if you can share more of your time. I will have one last question before we close, and that is to address potential, say, acute or traumatic emotional events. How have you found this in your research?
We now know that any type of emotion can stem something to the neighborhood of 1,300 different chemicals to rush through our bloodstream and to create outcomes. For example, stress and cortisol, and when we're looking at acetylcholines and all kinds of neurotransmitters that create GABA deficiencies and glycine deficiencies and amino acid responses that lead to inflammation and to different hormonal and neurotransmitter imbalances. We know we need to address these things, so they're all closely related, for sure.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And as we can all begin to see, that only is the tip of the iceberg as far as pulling back the veil on what these root causes really are about. Is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with before we close for this short segment?
Just before I leave the listeners with my utmost recommendation to pursue a program with Quantum University, I do want to say that actually working with psychologists and addressing emotional traumas in our patients is something that should not be ignored. And from addressing the first part of your question, I do want to say that there are many, many opportunities for our students, from working in a conventional environment like I do, to working with chiropractors and acupuncturists, as well as pursuing opportunities in marketing and wearables and biotechnology companies if you have the proper sales and marketing experience. This is the future, and I highly recommend education at Quantum University.
Definitely is the future of our medicine, and thank you so much for being a leader in this way. And we are going to look forward to bringing you back on the next group mentoring call. And I wanted to thank you all for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Aloha.
Thank you.
So Dr. Saad is a naturopathic practitioner, which means she addresses not only the physical, but also the mental, supramental, and vital bodies of an area that was needed. Okay, but anyway, the science is clear, right? Our thoughts, our emotions, and our belief systems prompt our brains to release thousands of chemicals that can make us sick, and those same possibilities to heal us. So really, as you saw in the interview, Dr. Saad wanted to make sure that people address the root causes, which is what you learn, of course, in your classes and your programs at Quantum University. So, Dr. Paul, is there anything you wanted to add, or is it okay with you if I jump right in and ask you some questions from our...
No, I'd like to do some comment now. Can you hear me well? Is it okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so it's very interesting because her path is the path of many students. They start in a quest, and sometimes they have a health challenge, or in the family they have someone who is sick, and then they start to study natural medicine or study other modalities, and through this journey, and then of course they are the best at the end of the road to heal the problems that they have themselves encountered or the family has encountered. So, and people are coming now at the Quantum University from all avenues, from all paths. Some, come from, a health problem. Some, of course, are more professional, or some are in the wellness industry. And going to this curriculum of Dr. Natural Medicine or Integrative Medicine that we have designed, it works at two levels. One is acquiring credential. Because for years now you have the market has been invaded, or with many people who introduce themselves. But as this wellness industry and as the healthcare also is more and more interested in this medicine, they are looking to hire people, to work with people that has credential. So, at the end of her journey in the school, then of course she Evelyn now has, in some way get probably more confidence, more information. Writing together the PhD, and the subject was inflammation and autoimmune disease. This has been for her a step forward to go in her career. And this is how, of course, she has to find a way to work with other professionals. But because we will have, as we go, we will train people more and more with students, graduate, that will permeate the whole healthcare, because the healthcare industry is looking for this type of expertise. And this is why we're coming in the last 2 years with the Quantum Health Coach, and we will have other coaching program that we will offer, with all the time higher and higher credential and certification. So, because these questions are asked all the time. So what are we doing with this Doctor of Natural Medicine? Without any credential, you will be just put aside of this trend of natural medicine and integrative medicine. And the other aspect of the curriculum is not just credential, but it's about also knowledge, and a knowledge that can embrace all kind of model of healing, as well as the conventional medicine is part of our understanding, but also all these other modalities through Taoist medicine, homeopathy, Ayurvedic, and so on. And not only that, through the window of bio-neurofeedback today, we can penetrate even more or explain even more this concept in quantum physics. So this is a very exciting testimony. We are very happy at Quantum University to have support and help Evelyn now in her career and journey, and as well as we can help a lot of other people. So, but now let's, other students, let's go now in the question, because I know this hour goes very quick now.
Our time does pass by very, very quickly, and we do have so many questions. Really, it's a matter of just jumping right in. One of the questions we often are asked is if we can recommend the name of a lab for hormone testing. So now Dr. Paul has many suggestions based on all kinds of criteria. Would you like to answer to that, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, because there's many sources out there. We will put one online in the chat room now. But as we speaking now, we are also revisiting, reshaping the whole hormone class, and we will come with other lab address. I don't want this is the unique choice, but at least this is one where you can have a saliva testing of the hormonal profile, and this question of hormone profile is so important. When people go through menopause, and how to manage naturally this transition. That was one of my specialty when I was in family practice in Canada. I was all the time a guest invited in this group of social group, and we'll speak about menopause and speak about aging and so on. And the way conventional medicine address this phase in the life of a woman has been a very horrifying story. You just look like 40 years ago, they came on the market with this high dosage of estrogen with a lot of complication. Now, nobody speak about this today, but originally they have launched the medical hormone medicine with very, very slim research. And the first wave, was a constant of women will have like a stroke and, a lot of consequence. And then the first wave was to reduce, of course, the concentration of the synthetic estrogen. And then afterward, then they start to play with the progesterone. So they were all the time trying to, minimize the dosage. But along this years, hormonal natural replacement also start to come along and be able to help the woman to go to these phases. I address this problem. I cannot go this now. I could lecture for hours, but this is one of my class where I speak about how to evaluate, because it's like a spectrum, where you have women that will not have any symptom at all. Some will be very symptomatic, and then you have the in the middle, a mix of all kind of symptoms. You have to consider the lifestyle of the woman. If they are still in a career, very active, very progressive, they may of course take advantage of this hormonal replacement. But today we have also the saliva testing that can help you to track, the hormone profile when you are doing this kind of adjustment. The estrogen, when they are the good estrogen, this is like what I explained in the course, you know, are beneficial. But you know, the chemical one can, if because some women has some predisposition to breast cancer, so they need to be avoided. So this I go into detail in the program. If you are in the curriculum, you can go in the hormone class. And the hormone class also has an aspect of Ayurvedic, looking at the chakra, the correlation. So I cannot answer this in a minute, but please go back to this class. This year we will also update the class with other source to monitor. We have a nurse on board who has a master's degree. This is exactly her practice to manage the hormonal replacement. So this is a great question.
And that is the perfect segue to take us right into the 5 pillars question, because we often are having questions about the scoring scale, for example. So Ezzy is a clinical hypnotherapist, and he's in the gallery over there. Hi, Ezzy. So
okay.
we would like
again, this course I'm actually reviewing this class. The idea when we have created this chart, you know, is like to have like a qualitative assessment, you know, of quantity that cannot actually doesn't have like a quantified measurement. But you know, the last 3-4 years, you know, we start to implement also digital technology to monitor different parameters, and we will add this to the class too. In other words, not only subjective evaluation. By example, if I look at this chart, you know, we look at the 5 elements. We look at the you know, in terms of actualization, because it's another 2 hours lecture. But again, I like to refer you to the 5 pillar class. But the idea in medicine, the concept, and that was a preoccupation from a concern since the beginning. It's like, you know, as a medical doctor, when you look at the human being, you have this lab, this quantifying measurement, you know, about the chemistry, about the radiology, but the quest is about finding the disease. Now our idea now is try to assess the human potential. So in other words, we start to frame our questionnaire. We start to frame our parameters of evaluation toward this human potential. So this is I wouldn't say totally new, because already if you read in new books of integrative medicine, it starts to point there. Because, you know, at the end of the day, if you look for disease, you find disease. If you look to improve the potential of the individual, you know, you go from an approach which is more bio-terrain, then the outcome will be probably someone that is not anymore in the spectrum of the physiopathology exhaustion. You are more keeping this individual in what we call the alarm phase. But then the parameters has to be different. So, and this is why through these 5 pillars, we're looking at the 5 pillars in natural medicine. We are looking at the 5 elements. We're looking at the Ayurvedic medicine. But as we go, this evaluation, come another concept, that is the concept of growth, the concept of actualization. Because, you know, the health is not dissociate from what Maslow has spoken, you know, actualization of higher qualities. And this is where Taoist medicine came along. So to bridge, you know, the physiology with also the behavior, the integration of the mind and the body. But then at that point, you know, when we speak about number, you know, we refer at qualitative value. I'm pretty aware of this, you know, but as it grows, as we will build, refresh these 5 pillars, we will also try to add sensors. You know, by example, you know, how about the brain coherence, about the heart coherence with heart rate variability, sensors that will also measure, you know, the totality of your physiology. So that will in some way give another more quantitative aspect of the integration mind and body. So try to give a short answer here, but I think it's a good question. Just at this time, you know, review the 5 pillars, look at this chart, try to understand the Taoist medicine, and then you will expect that in a year to come, we will have also a refresh of these questionnaire and give a little bit more objectivity to the subjectivities. This is a good question. Thank you.
It's a very good question, and it really leads us to the next one, which again is a bridge between science and what has been spirituality. Many of our students would like you to address what is the relationship between God, specifically to as it pertains to the Catholic Church for this student, but also what is the relationship between God and consciousness?
Yeah, so this is a good question, you know, and I probably in a good spot to answer that because I'm also a Catholic. And but you have to understand what we are elaborating, you know, with Dr. Goswami, this kind of 5 body, you know, the mental, the supramental, and the bliss body. It is like a platform which is not religious. It actually is absolutely neutral, from where everybody can grow their faith. You know, and if we look at the Catholic, by example, you know, you have, because I read a lot about the spirituality. I study not only Oriental philosophy, you know, but also deeply the Catholic mystic. And then at the end of the day, all these spiritual, this either contemplative or meditative, they probably meet at the same place. But let's come back to the Catholic now. In the mystic, the Christian mystic, and especially in the what they have called the doctor of spirituality. There you had Saint John the Cross. You have not Mother Teresa, but the Teresa, the Grand Teresa. They already has written textbook. Most of this is totally ignored today. But they were already speaking about this consciousness, but in other terms. In the 50s, in the 60s, came along Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit, and he was also an archaeologist, a paleontologist. He was crossing reference between, of course, his faith and the research in China to try to find the missing link. And he came with this, you know, brilliant concept that we call today, you know, the biosphere, the noosphere, the Christosphere. I don't know if you never heard about that, but you know, and this is in some way has a reference with the project Noosphere, where, you know, it's like Teilhard de Chardin, even very close now in terms of consciousness, explain how evolution being more aware of itself, complexing on itself, start to express in the geosphere realm and the biosphere, and then the mental that, you know, represent all these mental concepts, and then the Christosphere, where you have this translation of this idea of alpha and omega. And in some way, in other words, you know, this theologian that today has been bring back, you know, in the Catholic Church, you know, was the one of the first pioneers starting to translate the concept of consciousness to evolution. And if you look at Dr. Amit Goswami, please go back to Dr. Goswami, not only the quantum doctor, but also the quantum biology. He's also referring to Teilhard de Chardin, as well as Aurobindo, you know, as, you know, the pioneer of this idea of growth, evolution of consciousness. So, but there is to be honest, there is a space that science will never fill, which is the faith. You know, the faith of a Catholic, the faith of a Muslim, the faith of a Buddhist, the faith of this, it's so sacred and personal. So, but as science today, you know, we reconciliate, you know, in some way spirituality and science together through this platform of consciousness. And then when it's there, then from there, you know, everyone go his own path and find his own identity. So this is very important. This is why today, you know, people just do a jump in the belief system, which is kind of a conjuncture of opinion. Now we have to do in the next decade, we have to go what the Dr. Dispenza called beyond the mind. We have to transcend all these complexity of a belief and so on, in opinion, in a space where, you know, you just have consciousness. And then from there, of course, you can bridge, you know, with your own archetype. You know, if you're born in this country, you know, you have already in your DNA a specific way to relate with this divine. But no, this is not the science to explain that. You know, it's like you to your own inner experience. And then I bring you back to meditation. You know, this is what is meditation in some way. It's like, you know, it's like to access an altered state of consciousness. And then from that altered state of consciousness, then you go, you know, accordingly to your faith. So there is no opposition there. There is just only integration. You know, in that, you know, a mystic Christian, a mystic Buddhist, a mystic Muslim, they all dance together, you know, because they are in the bliss. You know, this is where they encounter themselves. They don't encounter themselves in their difference. They encounter themselves in their wholeness. So I hope this answers your question.
That was beautiful. It is about the wholeness and the oneness that we're all a part of. Thank you so much. But this is the perfect time for Colleen Farrell from Connecticut's question. She was asking you about the use of crystals for meditation. She's asking, can you use other crystals such as rose quartz, or will you obtain the same effect as you do with the clear quartz, for example?
Yeah, so I have experienced myself a different type of crystal. This is one of them. I like the Vogel one, and then, you know, we will soon later have a store and you can have them for a very affordable price. Why? Because Vogel, you know, has kind of designed a crystal that is very, you know, with different facets. And please go to this Prong Consciousness meditation course to see and understand how I use this in meditation. But this is not just, sometimes people look at this, I was holding on that because I didn't think people will have this idea. Dr. Paul maybe is getting too weird or something. But there is science behind this, because you have here the pineal gland, okay? And Dr. Joe Dispenza speak about it. It's like, you know, this gland, the pineal, and there is like not an orchestra, but, you know, a tandem with the hypophyse and the hypothalamus and all these glands and specifically the pineal, because it has microcalcite. You know, there is a field there. There is like what we call a piezoelectric, you know, field. And then when you use a crystal and then you point, you know, so not you touch the third, we call the third eye, but we usually call this the first eye, because this is the one that allows you to look within. So the crystal also has a piezoelectric effect. So now it's like you amplify this field. And the problem with the modern world now, you know, because through the nutrition and the EMF and the pesticide and especially, you know, and people who eat a lot of meat. This is another subject of conversation. I don't pretend, you know, and say, you know, we should all be vegetarian, but there is this land in some way become more calcified. In other words, become dormant. And we have, you know, previously have a video, I think it has 1 million views, where they were explaining that this pineal, you know, when is active can have secrete BMT, which is known as a substance for to access altered state of consciousness. I'm not saying you need drugs to do this, because if you do meditation, it's just you integrate this in a slow fashion. So, and then the melatonin, the oxytocin, and then you have probably 4, 5, 6 neurotransmitter that, when you start to awake that gland, because now it's dormant, in the material world now, it's just, with the nutrition, the lifestyle, it is just most of the time, navigate in the first 1, 2, 3 chakra. But now when you start to decalcify that, and when you can start to awake this, and this is why, I'm presenting this crystal, with meditation. I've done meditation for 40 years. I've done meditation without crystal, but I found that you increase through this piezoelectric effect, the feel, and enhance this phenomena of transcendence. But, at the same time, I combine this with the breathing, with mantra, and so on. So please go back to this Pure Consciousness meditation, which is kind of an integration of mantra, all the science of transcendental meditation, the Kriya Yoga with the breathing, and so on. So now the question was about which crystal to use. I didn't experience all of them, but I invite you to try different, I found I had a lot of results if I combine, because I saw a video online. They just suggest to put the crystal in the room. That's nice, but doesn't have this kind of specific effect on the pineal gland. So me, I use sometimes 2. Hold this one that has also the flower of life. There's a different shape of them. And then I have this, and then the experience are so profound that, of course, this is what I have shared with other students. But, some people don't like to have no tools. That's okay. That's fine too. So, and then can you use others? Just play with that, because the worst is not try anything. And then the science of crystal is huge. You have different crystal, different composite, and they have different qualities. Some will like also to put some essential oil in here. Some will breathe, some aroma or some essence. There is many things that can be done. This is like, you can personalize this. But when you meditate, it's something that should be done most of the time, in a place where there is quietness. It's all the time at the same place, so you build kind of an energy. And then please visit the Project Noosphere, because the other thing is, what do you think? If you are alone in your room, or if you are 100 people at the same time meditating, what do you think, you will not have a more leverage to give you this impulse, our transcendence. So this is Noosphere. Now, Project Noosphere is a website, projectnoosphere.com, where you go. We have 100 people every day that go there to this kind of intention of heal yourself, heal the world. We had probably close now to 800,000 people that have visited this website. So now it's like this community is growing. You just go online, you take a few minutes, you log in, and then sometimes we do event, and Shelly is very active. We have very many events where, at some, not only eclipse, but, sometime in the year where there's like opportunity. So we gather something 1,000, 2,000 people. But for me, it's like your education. It's like you do something every day. You ripple every day, this collective consciousness, and you ripple with others. And you don't think that we don't need that today. Oh yes, we need this kind of coherence that come to individual awareness and consciousness. And this has been, I spoke about this in this website, the Project Noosphere. You think about Gandhi, who turned around the whole nation, and then it's proven today 1% of people meditating, can change the social demographic, reduce the crime, and so on. And I'm not the only one to speak about this. You know, HeartMath do the same things, and Princeton. And so quantum university is like, you know, just you belong to this family. It's like your, you know, all the birds flopping together. This is your crowd, you know, and then it just takes 10 minutes, and then usually I do twice. And then also we add the technology, quantum technology to this. You know, it's like we have add, you know, the Terafy scalar wave to add to this, you know, motion where people are participating together, even more coherence, you know, more harmony in the field. So don't stay alone. Join us. Try different crystal. Have fun. And then I hope I answered this question. I'm not short to answer a question, right?
No, you're thorough, and we really appreciate that, because you're building the fire within all of us. You know, it's such a beautiful experience to meditate with everybody over at Project Noosphere, and you have to try it to find out. But you were talking about the calcite in the brain, you know, the pineal gland. And so this brings us to one of the other questions a student was asking about, how that calcite can be disrupted or our disorientation occur because of EMF. And do you have any recommendation for means of protecting?
Oh, yeah. So, you know, I started previously with the nutrition. We should eliminate as possible pesticide, insecticide. I go more organic. And in the Ayurvedic literature, you speak about sattvic food and Rajik and Tamasic. This is why they were speaking about this. Some food are more, you know, lifting. And I probably answer a question, you know, from Hippocrates, and I think there's another one. So I was there, you know, for 6 months, you know, doing this. And actually, this is a very sattvic diet, because you're all and very alkaline, and then you have no meat. You have the sprout, which is another life force. You know, you eat absolutely prana all the time. So, and this, of course, enhance, you know, this capacity, and cleans also the pineal. You know, and then also iodine is very important. So you have algae and chlorella, and for people that like the spirulina too is very important. And the EMF is another chapter that is also very important. So, and I don't want, you know, promote any brand here, but, you know, there's so many technology that you can wear to enhance your biofield and less permeate to the EMF, because how can we avoid it? You know, it's very difficult. I'm here in nature in Hawaii, but working on computer all the time. I don't wear watch, but I use, you know, you have to carry this, you know, iPhone, and it's very difficult, you know, to not just be totally cut from the world. So yeah, but you have to. It's like a hygiene, you know. I wear some, you know, this bracelet is like something for EMF. I have other, you know, I put also some technology on my iPhone too. But what is the science behind that? You know, of course, every place, every company come with some kind of research. But, you know, it's like, and I invite you to explore and try to find too. But I use them. I use them. How much are they efficient? I don't know. But, you know, of course, I think it's important. So EMF add to the other stressor. The other stressor is the nutrition, is the thinking, is the toothpaste with the fluoride, you know, and all these actually just build and calcify even more the pineal. So you want to refresh and get this flexibility where when you start to meditate, you can access this altered state of consciousness. So the third eye should be the first eye, because, you know, you see the world, you know, with your two eyes, which is now you see the world in this kind of duality thing. You know, the third eye is doing access to this altered state of consciousness, and then reunify everything, integrate everything.
Let your eye be single. I think I read that somewhere.
What?
Let your eye be single. You know, I'm quoting from the Bible now. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah. So I would like to suggest that we do an entire conscious momentum specifically to address the hygiene that would really enhance people's lives and enhance their practice. But we'll move on. So one more very serious question, and then we're going to lighten it up because I have so many really, really wonderful questions. I'm going to read this. It's a bit lengthy. It came from Jeffrey.
What about Hippocrates? Did we answer that?
No, go ahead. You answer that one first. Yeah.
Yeah, because Hippocrates, I was there for 6 months, and for me it was a discovery too, before I went to work there. I was in my clinic in Canada, and one day one of my friend, and he was also patient, had colon cancer. Can you believe that? He's 37 years old. He's a Mormon, so he has 7-8 children, and he called me. And plus he was working colonic irrigation. Then this is like a joke of the universe. So he called me and he said, I have colon cancer. And he went there and he didn't know. We were just starting to discover the Anwick Moor, the wheatgrass. And then after that, this is a long story. I will shortcut this story, but then I will jump. And then I went through this Hippocrates for a couple of weeks, and I was totally, this changed my life. Why? Because I saw there first time the microscope, the dark field microscopy, phase contrast. So, and they were, before, they start the regime, they look at the blood 2-3 weeks after they look. And then for me, it was like, wow, finally, we have something to track the change in the physiology if you do this diet, for the time the yeast was very important. So in other words, I learned a lot there, and of course, they introduced me to the live food, the sprouting, and I brought this back in Canada, done some video to teach that. I have nutritionists. That this was just the beginning. So, and then I remember even I went on the national TV speaking about sprouting. That this didn't help my career. I don't think so, but anyway. So we are probably in the 80s. 80s now is almost 30 years ago. So, and then and then I worked there in 1999, and and someone asked for a diet. There is not a panacea with one diet, of course. And as this is what I found along my journey, it's like some type of diet are more specific for some type of problem. Alkalinity is not a solution for all problems. So, and then, I was also working in other hospital with, other style of that, even more drastic. So, and I, sometimes Hippocrates was not efficient, another was more efficient. So we still need a lot of research, trying to start to individualize, what is the best diet for that individual regarding its constitution. You can, someone who is more longiline, phosphoric in homeopathy, these people will demineralize faster. They are not grounded like the carbonic one. So, it's thinking about one diet for everybody. And this is what's happened now. It's like, one book come along and fitness for life, another book come along, and it's all the time a trend. But, it's, we still, need to be very, flexible. But there is some basic principle that, that I kept. This is very important. So everybody will not disagree with that. It's like, too much sugar. You have to avoid sugar. You have to avoid dairy products. You have to avoid the wheat, and then you can build around that. So there is like, and the yeast, the everything that generates yeast, and the gluten somewhere. So you have major, one to say marker, but many feel that any diet that don't avoid that is kind of getting wrong. So, and my approach when I was in practice was at first to eliminate all this, especially when people are you know, in inflammation, autoimmune disease, or, and then you start to, and then I was also looking at the blood. So this is very important. So to see how the blood react to it, because we're not a closed system. We are an open ecosystem. And now this concept of open ecosystem is not just the bowel, what you eat, and the blood, but it's also, you know, what is in the vital, the mental, the supramental. And now this is very interesting with the quantum. So the conventional view was looking at the individual from a degenerative point of view in a closed system where you have no way to in some way recharge and reharmonize. Now with the quantum point of view, we have an open ecosystem in which we are even entangled with the biofield. So this is fascinating. So, yeah, Hippocrates was in my journey a very, very important phase. You know, I will not say, you know, don't explore other path, but, you know, I'm still a fan of this, you know, sattvic diet. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so following the trend, as you were mentioning, one of our students named Jeffrey is wondering about using the BioWell system that was developed by Dr. Krakow, of course.
Absolutely.
And you've worked with so many different technologies. Do you have a favorite?
There's not a panacea with one, but in Canada, I will have what I call at that time the Kirlian photography. So the BioWell is a version of the GDV, and the GDV is a version of this Kirlian photography. So when 30 years ago, we didn't have the digital. So we will literally take the picture of the fingers, the tip of the finger, toes, and you have the picture, the same thing. You have the imprint, and then you make a reading of the biofield. And I remember Alexei, you know, was helping me with this. Sometimes he will do the picture, or sometimes, you know, in the waiting room, this is an anecdote here, he will, this is so funny. The people will wait to their result, and he will go along, and already the client will have the picture in their hand. So he will go around and start to give the explanation. And the kid was about 12 years old. That was so funny. So, oh yes. So I think the BioWell is a inexpensive mean of investigation. And by the way, when I studied Kirlian photography, I discovered you had textbooks, you know, of how to read the imprint, you know, as this is in Germany, in Switzerland, as serious than if you go have an X-rays, you know, in conventional medicine. But here in America, you know, it has took another tangent. It's, you know, some wasn't sometimes, you know, take the aura picture, but it's way more deeper than that. So, but this is, I would say, an interesting piece of technology you should have in your lab. But the blood is another one you should have. So not is in everything. I work also with the Eductor Skio. So you cross-reference information. So, but at the end of the day is how you gather all the information together. So, and how you gather, you need to develop this kind of mind that look things in terms of pattern. It's people that has study speed reading, fast reading, you know, they understand that. You know, you can read a book in, you know, a few minutes when you know how to pattern the information. So this is the same thing, you know, it's like becoming a holistic doctor. You need to learn how to pattern information. And this is where I come from, the idea. I come back to the 5 pillars now. The 5 pillars, the 5 elements, the chakras, and the 5 body. These are like a map where you organize the information. So it's much more challenge to be a holistic doctor than to be a conventional doctor. And it's kind of a paradox, yeah? Because, you know, if you come in America, they ask you, what kind of doctor are you? If I say I'm an MD, you know, I am the smart guy. If I say I am a doctor of natural medicine, they will look at me a little bit down, right? But you know, the doctor of natural medicine is smarter than the other one, because he has to work with this mind where you can organize information in terms of pattern, you know. and with multidimension. So you look at the individual, it's not just the physical, no, it's the emotional, it's the vital body, is the whole until the archetype, the collective consciousness. So, but we are just starting to expand, in this holistic medicine, and this is absolutely fascinating. So yes, by your will.
Okay, and so...
But don't just rely on one, as said. Try to have many to cross information.
And the rewards of being a doctor of natural medicine are also multidimensional. Well, we've been just over an hour, and so I would like to invite you to bring any words of closing that you would like to part with, and then I'll do a...
Okay, so we will have a premiere for you. So this will be launched, I think, Saturday. You can review this in the Facebook also, this video. This is like a little spotlight of the holistic anatomy, and it's about the Tao of medicine, and I have the Tao and quantum field. And why I in the curriculum I have take advantage of this point of view, Tao of physics from Capra, and the Tao has this, is very close to the concept of consciousness. And so, and then when I'm speaking about, interpreting everything together, you have, the modern medicine, and you have also ancient model of medicine. And Taoist medicine, in some way, is the one that in some way has grabbed the most the consciousness concept, to my point of view. Of course, Chinese medicine too, and of course, Ayurvedic medicine. But Taoist medicine has this, already, ready with the proper world. And the Taoist medicine class in my curriculum, is laying in some way what I call the subtle anatomy. So it's like, if you want to understand how works mind and body together, how to interconnect, first you need the consciousness model with Dr. Goswami, the downward positional model. But now, as you go in the collapse of this concept, and when you're doing the density of this concept, then you discover the meridians, you discover what we call the marvelous vessel, the quartz. You discover the mechanic of how emotion, thought, archetypes are connected with the physiology. This is why Taoist medicine is so exciting. This is Taoist medicine that's revealed that. So now you would see like a 2-minute of just the broad concept. Maybe next class we come back on this. But as we go, and that was also another of my dream, to have to illustrate with visual and animation these kind of concepts that are most of the time abstract. So enjoy this 2 minutes. Please go on your Facebook, share this with others. Last year, we done a video like this. Morphogenetic field was seen by millions of viewers. So if you want to spread the good news, just forward to your friends and everybody, so they will be exposed to this information. So let's go share the screen now.
The Tao and quantum field. Scientists have been able to demonstrate that matter originates from quantum vacuum fluctuations. According to Tom Bearden, 1995, the vacuum is filled with particles that are continually floating between existence and non-existence. They emerge out of nowhere, or rather, emerge from the quantum vacuum, appearing and disappearing rapidly. The lifespan of these particles is very short, and, therefore, they are known as virtual particles. The observable physical universe consists of a fluctuation of an immense ocean of energy. The quantum vacuum, in its state of fluctuation, produces matter. According to the post-quantum view, a vacuum is pure geometry and information. Matter is nothing more than light energy captured by gravity. Within the sub-quantum physics vision, the quantum wave can be the carrier of consciousness coming from beyond space-time. Everything in the universe was generated by fundamental fields from the vacuum, the nature of which is purely informative. In Taoist philosophy, the quantum vacuum, the origin of everything, is known as the earlier heaven, or Ho-Tu, the informational world. In Plato's philosophy, this informative world appears as the world of ideas. The koans of Taoist medicine are related to these original informational patterns and are the maps that guide the physical, energetic, and biological processes. The whole universe is full of intelligence, from the largest galaxy to the smallest internal particle. The universe is an immense network of information. In the view of classical physics, energy is something that is capable of producing work. But in modern physics, energy is so much more than this. It is endowed with intelligence and contains the ability to organize and produce coherence at a quantum level.
You're back.
Okay, so I'll leave you the last word.
Okay, well, thank you so very, very much. As we are about to wrap up, I would like to ask Elizabeth, would you please post the name of that lab and the phone number once more to the chat room, just so everybody knows? You can go ahead and look in the chat room for that reference and resource.
And then they should say they come from the Quantum University, because this lab deal only with professional. But if you say you come from Quantum University, then it will go. Dr. Paul Drouin. Okay.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. So thank you so much again, Dr. Paul, for sharing all of your wisdom and your heart with us. And I thank all of you on the call for joining us, for fearlessly and lovingly bringing your gifts to the surface as a leader in the future of medicine. And so not only will you increase your fulfillment factor, which is what? Your income, resources, influences, but more importantly, you're going to share and co-create your own bliss. And we all know that bliss is the fastest way to healing. So we'll look forward to seeing you all on the next group mentoring call. Aloha.